Hi, hello everybody. It's gonna be almost 900 kilometer review of the S18 from Kingsong. To be fully correct, it's the S18XL, which some of you may know that I have created at home, basically. But just to give the summary of how this wheel behaves and what kind of setup is needed to make it like road ready, I have prepared like a longer material today, which I would like to talk about the items which have to be checked just to use the wheel on the daily basis without any issues. So first of all, if you get the wheel, please check if the suspension in your wheel is working fully correct. So you have to ensure that simply those gray sliders move well on the black pipes. If not, you have to overhaul it. This had been widely described, and a lot of videos and a lot of discussion is about the subject, so I will not really get into that much. But things like ball bearings, spacers, alignment, ease of movement, and removal of the steel blocks from this area here, from the battery holder, this must be done or shall be checked to ensure that the whole thing works really well. So it's the first thing. Second, what I would suggest is to check for fender or noises in the suspensions, and this can be adjusted by moving, in case you have the situation where this plastic fender rubs into the battery casing. It means the alignment problem, and some of this can be removed, can be modified by slightly unscrewing those screws here and just pushing in the axis a little bit inside to create a little bit bigger space between the gray slider and the plastic here. This can be additionally adjusted by inserting some pieces, either if you completely disassemble the wheel by unscrewing those screws here and inserting proper spacers inside, or just by unscrewing those screws a little bit and putting a piece of rubber or anything which you can stick inside just to move it away from the gray slider so that it does not rub into the between the battery holders and this. This is reflected, in fact, you can have a closer look here, that simply those plastic parts, the rubber here, it is separated at least a little bit. You can have closer look here, that there's a little bit of space here and a little bit of space on the other side also here, and this must be done in such way that basically that the spaces are kind of even. So it may be difficult because this is like not really highly precisely put together. On my suspension I have made an overhaul. I had to adjust a few things, of course remove the wrong spacers here and add some spacers here and add spacers here and so on. So it was longer process, but now it works fully okay. Next thing which I would like to draw your attention on is the necessary modification of the fender. So you may notice here that this specific connection here, it is almost colliding with the suspension, with the this area here. Simply this one of those plastic connection blocks, it must be filed down in such way that it does not collide with the damper, because this is a problem, and it's easiest to do when of course if you have all this thing disassembled. But even if it's not fully disassembled, if you push the suspension down, just release the pressure, this will move, and you can insert the file here and just file it down so it's not colliding anymore. This is relatively simple to do, and I hope that Kingsong will address this also in their next release. Next thing which happens quite often is the mudguard issue, because this mudguard is mounted to this plastic only by like 3 very thin pieces of rubber, and this falls, then breaks easily. I made this modification in such a way that simply here, you can see it here, I have added, simply I have drilled 2 holes just through this fender completely, and took a piece of the copper wire and just behind this plastic just wired it together, so it's no more of an issue, and it does not fall, and it's not you know, so it's precisely mounted. Next thing, if we go from behind, is that those battery holders, these pieces here, it is regarding these areas and also on the front. So this area, it must be filed using just a file, because these edges are very sharp. So this shall be modified also by adding some spacer here. Here you can adjust how far these batteries are from the plastic fender, inside fender, so that you create some spaces here between the batteries and the fender, so does it not it does not rub one on the other. Okay, following the question and just going piece by piece, if you want to use the wheel, especially in the wet weather, and if it rains, and generally speaking, if you are power user, quite important thing to add to the wheel is simply this kind of blocking screws or locking screws, which will hold your shoes in locked position better than just the grip, because the grip is simply not enough. If you ride a lot, and as this wheel is supposed to be used kind of off-road solution, so definitely such screws. This is simply M3 times 16 millimeters long with 2 nuts, and I have simply modified it this way, that just drilled over the whole thing and inserted the screws, screw 2 pieces of nuts, and this is the simple solution. The more advanced solution, which will come soon, is simply nylon reinforced, fiber reinforced pedals, which will be available soon for this wheel, maybe next week even. We are finishing this design, and I will test it probably within the next few days. Following the pedal issue, there are 2 major problems with this wheel here. First is that originally it is lacking the openers, because if you lock the pedals, if you close them, it's not really that easy to open them, because you have no space here to kick or to push that the pedals will open. So just to modify this, I have created this plastic parts here, and this area allows you to simply open the pedals by a small kick, and it's pretty simple. But also it's a second issue here, especially if you carry the wheel. if you have to go up the stairs or carry it around for some reason, take it out from the trunk in the car or something like this. This specific to edges, especially this on here and here, and also here and here, those are extremely sharp. So if you carry the wheel by your leg, these edges will simply cut your leg or cut your trousers or cut the surface of your trunk or do some other harm to the surfaces they touch. So adding the pedal openers, which I have designed and which I can produce, is solving the two issues. First is to open the pedals, and second is to protect these areas, and simply this does not allow, you can see that this edge is no longer protruding, so it's important to solve it. Okay, so it's another issue. Pins. Okay, so that's about the pedals. Let's move to another thing which is low here in this area. Wire protector. As you may notice, there are some people which complain about how the motor wire exits the axis, and there is a spring here which is not fully covered by this gray slider. So I have designed and I can produce the this piece had been designed by me, and I can print it, I can produce it. So it is simply covering the wire, that if your shoe is here, you do not really crush or bend this wire anymore. It's covered. So this is another thing which is solved. Kingsong says that in the most current release that they will simply put this wire slightly deeper inside, but you know, this is kind of something which must, in my opinion, be covered. Going up in the setup of the wheel, braking and acceleration parts. This is something which this wheel can be useful for the wheel, that it is simply easier to maneuver, and which gives you better precision in the maneuvering. Have a look on the top, that the surface is here on the back and on the front. They are simply providing some extra grip, and these surfaces are for braking, and in this specific wheel these surfaces are for acceleration. But this setup is different than for regular wheel, because this is the S18XL, the only existing so far model, because under those covers there are two pieces of the batteries, original Kingsong batteries, like those on the back. So additional two I have installed here, and in this way this wheel has 1440 watt hours and 80 cells. So this is exactly the same battery setup as, for example, V11, and this gives, of course, the range, and this increases the safety, because the original setup of the S18 is 60 cells only, 20 in series and 3 in parallel, which I think is unsafe, especially in the cold weather, or if you accelerate or if you decelerate. This can lead to simply not enough power, or that you overlean the wheel and that it will give up, especially if you have lower battery voltage, so that simply you can fall, or you can simply create a situation where pedals will dip much forward, and this will be a problem, and you're gonna fall. So those acceleration, as I said, braking pads. This is my design. And also the acceleration pads, those are specific ones because they are covered by the they are integrated here in the battery covers. But I can show you the regular, for the regular wheels, which has not been modified. Those are created from such they have a such shape. Of course, there is a soft insert also here, as you can feel it almost here. You see, these areas are soft, so this goes exactly the same on the front. So especially if you ride with your bare legs, that this is soft rubber, so you do not your legs are not crushed by those surfaces, so you can accelerate nicely. This area is slightly harder. This, as you know, it's not as soft, but because this edge right now is on the kind of a correct, especially for me, for my use, I think it's okay, it's good enough. So this is another upgrade or something which must be taken care of. I hope in fact that Kingsong will develop, will make the S18XL soon, because with 80 cells this will really make sense, and this is like a perfect all-around wheel in such case for everyday use and for the slightly longer trips. Okay, so another upgrade and another design which I have added is the front bumpers. Especially right now when the wheel is slightly heavier on the front because of this additional batteries, I have observed that if you switch the wheel off, it has the tendency to fall on the front. So I have designed those two additional bumpers here, so in case the wheel falls, it will exactly hit in this area, so it will not break the plastic. And also it allows to park the wheel in simply easy way that on those surfaces you're gonna park it, so on the front. Some upgrade which is still to be developed, which I plan. You may see that if you ride this wheel, this front edge of this internal fender is kind of short, so I will think about it, but either Kingsong may develop it this way, that they will use the piece of plastic like they use on the back to make it slightly more protruding, or I will create such shape. And you see this area is all dirty because this is simply too short. So just to protect, just to cover the wheel a little bit more up to front would be good idea, because first of all it will not get dirty around here, and second, probably you're gonna have less mud on your shoes, because of course if you have a mud here, it means that you have a mud also on the front here and also on your shoes, so that's another story. Regarding the additional upgrades on this wheel which I have created, something which must be addressed and which is not really solved for now. You may see that the front lamp on this wheel is simply blinding people if you start to go over 10 kilometers an hour. It means that it will automatically put on the high beam, and in such situation in the evening, in the night, it means that it will shine into people's eyes. So I have a suggestion for Kingsong. Please, this is kind of a temporary solution, but it will not be a bad idea simply if you can add to the software the option to start the high beam at user preferred speed. So either modify it for now to 20 kilometers an hour instead of 10. It's the kind of a most basic solution. And if you can make it like in more advanced way to use the LEDs, to modify this setup in such way that it is user configurable, so that you can in the software set, if you want to have the high beam at 20 kilometers an hour or 25 kilometers an hour, this will solve it for now. And later on, basically the this lamp PCB, the location on the LEDs of this high beam LEDs can be moved slightly to the sides and just behind a little bit, so that it's not shining that high into the air, so that it does not blind the incoming traffic, which is a problem right now. Okay, so the next thing regarding setup, in my opinion, it shall be the option. I made it like a simple way, same I made it in the KS16 in the old wheel, simply because I think that your visibility on the road is a key point for safety. I have covered the light sensor, so simply that the light is always on the front and also on the back, so that you are more visible when you ride. So this is quite important to make it this way. Okay, so this is another stuff. So regarding use and exploitation of the wheel, as you know, right now we have very good application which is called EUC World, but this wheel has some kind of a little bit too many confirmations when you try to connect it. So if you are annoyed by the continuous beeping of the wheel when you get closer to it or you move out, and simply when the Bluetooth connects, just instead of the EUC World temporary, you can use wheel lock application, and wheel lock will connect and it will offer only one beep at a time without this beeping beep 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 beep, beep kind of situation, because it does not read as much data from the wheel as the EUC World application does. So this is temporary solution. I hope that in some time Kingsong will finally modify this whole thing and allow less beeps. Also, you can have here a look on the pretty simple stand for the S18. This is the flower bucket. You can get it in like do-it-yourself store, and this is kind of a basic solution, but it works quite okay, especially for like service issues, so that you can move the wheel on this and have the better access to this to kind of a servicing. Also, regarding preparation of the wheel for the daily use, I suggest to add slime to the tire. So this is something which would save you in case of the puncture, so that there is no so much problem if you hit some sharp edge or nail or something like this. So it will save your time a lot to have this kind of a solution. Okay, and one last thing would like to suggest to have a closer look is the use of the fast charger. I have here a specific setup because this charger is the same which I use for the Gotway MSX. So it's 84 volt charger with 5 amp low and 9 amp high current, and so it offers, I'm using still the Charge Doctor, but now this has been discontinued, so the new solution is available also from Poland by the newer design which is called ChargeMan, and this allows to monitor closely the charge and the speed and the voltage and everything, and you can limit the charges and so on. So with the 5 amp charger I can reach almost 370 watt hours per 1 hour of charging. So basically you can charge the wheel in 3 hours if you need so, but for my type of use, 1440 watt hours of the capacity allows me to go between 40, maybe 60 kilometers if I use it not so much, or not with the high speed in the higher temperatures. So for my use it is enough, and I can always take the charger with me if I really need to, because the nice thing about this charger is that the whole thing is 450 grams. So this is very light charger, and it can allow you to recharge anytime you make a break. So that's about it. So complete overhaul and the review of the custom S18XL with 2 additional batteries on the front, and after overhaul, after mods. So as I told you, I have made more than 800 kilometers already in roughly 3 months. So the wheel is okay. Just make sure that you keep these areas clean, especially if you ride on the mud and on the kind of dirty areas, so that clean this area here, just because it gets dirty very quickly, and also try to clean the those pipes here, and ensure that the whole thing simply moves easily. Okay, all the best, happy wheeling. In case you are interested in the pads or front bumpers or wire protector or other of my mods, contact me on the included email address. Thanks a lot. Bye.